Jonathan Joestar's story begins in the countryside of 19th century England, where he was born into wealth and privilege as the heir to the Joestar fortune. His mother, Mary, died shielding him from a carriage accident as a baby. Raised by his stoic dad, George Joestar, Jonathan grew up lonely but kind-hearted, until Dio Brando showed up. George thought Dio's dad saved his life years earlier, so he adopted Dio out of gratitude, but that was a big mistake. Dio was a master manipulator. He instantly hated Jonathan's privilege and decided to ruin his life. First, Dio got rid of Jonathan's dog, Danny, by tossing him into an incinerator. Then he sabotaged Jonathan's studies, stole his friends, and even ruined his first romance. Jonathan had fallen for Irina Pendleton, a girl he defended from bullies. But Dio forced a kiss on Irina to humiliate her and crush Jonathan's spirit. Irina fled town, leaving Jonathan heartbroken. Years later, George got mysteriously sick. Jonathan uncovered Dio's long game, slowly poisoning George to inherit the Joestar fortune. Teaming up with Speedwagon, a street brawler who tried to mug him but ended up respecting Jonathan's integrity, they tracked the poison to a sketchy dealer named Wang Chan. After beating the truth out of him, Jonathan raced home with the antidote, only to walk into a nightmare. Dio was cornered, so he activated an ancient stone mask using George's blood, turning himself into a vampire. He killed George and the cops who came to arrest him and went full monster mode. Jonathan, with no other options, burned down his own mansion to stop Dio. The fight was brutal. Dio's vampire strength versus Jonathan's raw rage. Jonathan barely survived while Dio vanished, taunting him from the shadows. After a while, Jonathan got back with Irina and met Will Zeppeli, a weirdly intense Italian who would later teach him Heyman. This sun magic martial art channels breathing techniques into solar energy, perfect for frying vampires. After a crash course, Jonathan and crew headed to Win Knight's lot, a town Dio had turned into his undead playground. The showdown was wild. Jonathan fought zombies, saved a kid's sister from a creepy vampire minion, and finally faced Dio in his castle. Using a sword named Luck and Pluck, John channeled Heyman through the blade and split Dio in half. But vampires are cheaters. Dio's upper body crawled away, vowing revenge. After a few years, Jonathan and Irina got married and were expecting a baby. They sailed to America for a fresh start, but Dio, now just a head grafted onto Jonathan's ancestor's body, ambushed them on the ship. In a last-ditch heroic move, Jonathan trapped Dio in an explosion-proof coffin, blew up the ship, and stayed behind to make sure Dio couldn't escape. As flames engulfed them, John made sure Irina could escape. Irina carried 2 babies, her unborn son and an orphan she rescued. Meanwhile, Dio's body sank to the ocean floor, stuck in the coffin. Born in 1920 to George Joestar II and Elizabeth, Joseph inherited the Joestar family's turbulent destiny. His mother vanished after avenging his father's murder by one of Dio Brando's lingering zombies, leaving Joseph to be raised in England by his grandmother, Irina Joestar, and family ally Robert E.O. Speedwagon. To shield him from the supernatural dangers that claimed his father and grandfather, Joseph grew up believing his parents had died. His rebellious youth, marked by school expulsions, street fights, and 7 stints in juvenile detention, hinted at a fiery spirit and sharp wit that would define his future. Joseph's Heyman ability surfaced during a hijacked plane ride with Speedwagon. When a criminal bloodied his nose, staining a shirt gifted by Irina, Joseph retaliated with a burst of ripple energy, knocking out the pilot. Surviving the crash, he began to grasp his inherited power. In 1938, visiting New York with Irina, Joseph encountered Smokey Brown, a young pickpocket. After defending Smokey from corrupt cops, the pair forged an unlikely friendship. Joseph's disdain for injustice flared again when he publicly humiliated a racist mafioso harassing Smokey. A bold act interrupted by news of Speedwagon's alleged death in Mexico. That night, Joseph confronted Straizo, a former ally of Jonathan Joestar turned vampire. Straizo revealed his allegiance to a new threat, ancient pillar men entombed for millennia. In a chaotic battle on Brooklyn Bridge, Joseph outwitted Straizo using ripple-infused shot glasses to reflect the vampire's I-beam attack, killing him. Straizo's dying words warned of Kars Esedizi and Wamu, pillar men seeking the red stone of Aja. Traveling to Mexico, Joseph rescued Speedwagon from a German facility where the Pillar Man Santana had been unearthed. Santana's grotesque abilities, body manipulation, skin absorption, nearly overwhelmed Joseph until he lured the creature into sunlight using a Wells reflective surface. Meanwhile, the Germans disclosed 3 more Pillar Men beneath Rome's Colosseum. In Rome, Joseph clashed with Caesar Antonio Zeppeli, grandson of Jonathan's mentor Will Zeppeli. Their rivalry softened into camaraderie after a series of pranks and battles against Wamu, who implanted lethal wedding rings in Joseph's body as poison-time bombs. To survive, Joseph trained under Caesar's master, Lisa, outsmarting Essidici with layered rope traps and ripple-infused wool. Joseph reclaimed the antidote. Unaware the Pillar Man's consciousness survived in a disembodied nervous system. Essidici's final gambit, possessing Lisa's maid, Susie Q, forced Joseph and Caesar to harmonize opposing ripple waves to expel him, a feat that dissolved Essidici in sunlight. Tracking the Red Stone to Switzerland, Joseph, Lisa, and Caesar faced Cars, the Pillar Men's genius leader. After Caesar sacrificed himself to weaken Wamu, Joseph honored his friend by defeating the warrior in a chariot duel. Using Caesar's headband to ignite a gas-fueled explosion inside Wamu, Joseph secured victory but mourned his noble foe. Cars, however, betrayed their duel's terms, overpowering Lisa and activating the Red Stone to become the ultimate being. Joseph, aided by a cyborg rebuilt Stroheim and German forces, lured Cars into a volcanic eruption. Though Cars survived, Joseph tricked him into channeling Ripple through the Red Stone, triggering an eruption that launched Cars into space. Trapped eternally in orbit, Joseph was presumed dead but resurfaced weeks later, having survived by cushioning his fall with a parachute and marrying Susie Q. Settling in New York, he fathered a daughter, Holy Joestar, and reconciled with Lisa, revealed as his mother. Jotaro Kujo's life began in Japan as the son of Holy Kujo, a kind-hearted woman from the Joestar lineage, and Sadao Kujo, a jazz musician often absent due to his career. For most of his youth, Jotaro lived a typical life, playing sports, attending school, and clashing with his mother's affection. By age 17, however, his rebellious streak turned into delinquency. After hospitalizing 4 gang members in a brawl, Jotaro locked himself in a jail cell, convinced an evil spirit haunted him. This spirit, revealed as Star Platinum, a manifestation of his inner strength called a stand, marked the start of a journey far beyond his quiet life. His grandfather, Joseph Joestar, arrived with Muhammad Abdal, an Egyptian stand expert, to explain the truth. The vampire Dio, who stole Jonathan Joestar's body a century earlier, had resurfaced. Dio's revival awakened stands in the Joestar bloodline, including Jotaro's mother, Holy, but her gentle nature left her unable to control her stand, condemning her to a fatal coma. To save her, Jotaro joined Joseph, Abdal, and Noriaki Kakyoin, a brainwashed enemy turned ally, on a 50-day odyssey from Tokyo to Cairo, battling Dio's assassins at every turn. The journey tested Jotaro's resolve. Early clashes, like surviving a plane hijacked by the insectoid Stand Tower of Grey, or outsmarting the aquatic Dark Blue Moon, proved Star Platinum's raw power and Jotaro's tactical mind. Along the way, they recruited Jean-Pierre Polnareff, a French swordsman seeking vengeance for his sister's murder. Despite Polnareff's hot-headedness, Jotaro's stoic leadership held the group together, even as allies like Abdol and Kakyoin fell to Dios forces. In Egypt, the stakes soared. Jotaro faced Ndul, a blind stand user who manipulated water to drown his foes, and Anubis, a sentient sword possessing friends and enemies alike. Yet the true nightmare awaited in Cairo, Dio himself. With his stand the world, Dio could freeze time, a near unbeatable advantage. In their final duel, Jotaro pushed Star Platinum to its limits, discovering he could move within frozen moments. After a brutal exchange that left Dio's body disintegrating in sunlight, Jotaro emerged victorious, but not without loss. Kakyoin, Abdul, and even the loyal stand-wielding dog Iggy perished in the crusade. Jotaro returned to Japan with his mother saved and Dio erased, but the cost weighed heavily. He retreated into marine biology, trading fists for fieldwork, yet fate never truly let him rest. Josuke Higashikata was born in 1983 to Tomoko Higashikata and the aging Joseph Joestar. He grew up in the quiet town of Morio, unaware of his Joestar lineage. His life changed when a near-fatal childhood illness coincided with Dio's resurgence in Egypt, awakening his stand Crazy Diamond, a manifestation of his spirit capable of healing and restoring objects. But Josuke's defining moment came during that feverish night. A mysterious teenager with a pompadour hairstyle saved him and his mother from a snowbound car, inspiring Josuke to adopt the same haircut as a tribute to his anonymous hero. At 16, Josuke's life unraveled when Jotaro Kujo, his nephew, thanks to Joseph's late-in-life affair, arrived in Morio. Jotaro warned of Angelo, a sadistic stand user unleashed by a mysterious arrow. When Angelo murdered Josuke's grandfather, Ryohei, Josuke vowed to protect Morio. Using Crazy Diamond's healing powers, he trapped Angelo's water-based stand in a bottle and fused Angelo himself into a rock. Josuke was able to form allies like Koichi Hirose, a timid classmate turned stand user, and Okuyasu Nijimura, a reformed enemy seeking redemption. Together they confronted the Nijimura brothers, whose father had been mutated into a grotesque creature by Dio's experiments. Josuke's compassion shone when he restored a family photo, proving their father retained humanity, but tragedy struck when the elder brother, Keicho, died shielding Okuyasu from the electricity-wielding stand red-hot chili pepper. The hunt for the arrow, a relic creating stands, culminated in a clash with Akira Otoishi, Red Hot Chili Peppers user. Josuke was able to trap Akira in a deflating tire, neutralizing his electric powers. This victory reunited him with Joseph, whose bumbling attempts at parenthood clashed with Josuke's pride. Their rocky bond softened during a misadventure with Shizuka, an invisible baby, where Joseph's sacrificial act to save her won Josuke's reluctant respect. Morio's tranquility shattered with the emergence of Yoshikage Kira, a serial killer obsessed with quiet living. Kira's stand, Killer Queen, turned objects into bombs, and his new ability, Bites the Dust, trapped allies in time loops. Josuke's resolve hardened after Kira murdered Shigechi, a greedy but harmless stand user, and framed Hayato Kawajiri, a boy entangled in Kira's web. The final battle was chaotic. Kira, armed with Stray Cat's air-manipulating powers, unleashed invisible bombs. Josuke, battered but unbroken, exploited Crazy Diamond's restoration to redirect blood splatters, cornering Kira. With Okuyasu's teleportation and Jotaro's time-stopping precision, Kira met his end under an ambulance's wheels. A mundane demise for a man craving normalcy. With Kira defeated, Josuke bid farewell to Jotaro and Joseph and lived quietly. Haruno Shiobana was born 1985. To a neglectful Japanese mother and the vampiric legacy of Dio, who fathered him using Jonathan Joestar's stolen body, Giorno's childhood was filled with isolation and cruelty. Abandoned nightly by his mother and beaten by an abusive stepfather in Italy, he internalized a belief that he was worthless, a scum unworthy of kindness. This changed at 15 when a chance encounter with a wounded gangster changed his life. Using his latent stand ability, Gold Experience, Giorno hid the man in a burst of overgrown flora, an act that earned him silent guardianship from the gangster's allies. For the first time, respect and dignity were shown to him, igniting a resolve to reshape the mafia's corruption into a force for justice. Renaming himself Giorno Giovanna, he vowed to become a gangstar, a leader who'd protect the vulnerable from the shadows. Giorno's path to power began in Naples, where his cunning as a petty scammer caught the attention of Bruno Bucciarati, a rising star in the mafia group Passione. After a duel that revealed their shared moral code, Bucciarati helped Giorno infiltrate Passione by surviving a twisted initiation from Capo Polpo. Tasked with keeping a lighter's flame alive for 24 hours, Giorno outwitted Polpo's stand, Black Sabbath, a shadow-dwelling entity that tested loyalty through murder. When Polpo callously killed an innocent janitor, Giorno orchestrated his demise, transmuting a gun into a banana that led to Polpo's end. This act marked Giorno's first step toward dismantling Passione's rot from within. As Bucciarati's newest recruit, Giorno faced hostility from teammates like Leone Abacchio, a jaded ex-cop, and Guido Mista, a sharpshooter skeptical of his motives. Their first mission, retrieving Polpo's hidden fortune, turned into a war against La Squadra Esecuzioni, rogue assassins seeking to overthrow Passione's boss. Giorno's strategic ability emerged in battles against stand users like Babyface, an AI-driven hunter that cloned victims' DNA. The mission's stakes escalated with the introduction of Trish Una, the boss's daughter. Tasked with protecting her, Giorno uncovered Passione's darkest secret. The boss, Diavolo, sought to kill Trish to erase his identity. Bucciarati's rebellion against this order left him a walking corpse sustained by Gold Experience's life force, a haunting symbol of their fractured loyalty. Pursuing Diavolo to Sardinia, the team faced great losses. Abbacchio died replaying the boss's past through his stand, Moody Blues, while Narantia fell to Diavolo's time-erasing stand, King Crimson. A dying Jean-Pierre Polnareff, a veteran Joestar ally, revealed the Arrow, a relic capable of evolving stands into divine entities. Seizing it, Giorno awakened Gold Experience Requiem, a stand that nullified actions to 0, rendering Diavolo's time manipulation obsolete. In Rome's chaotic finale, Giorno beat Diavolo by marking him with blood-transmuted ants, trapping the boss in an endless death loop where victory perpetually slipped from his grasp. With Diavolo's reign ended, Giorno claimed Passione's throne, transforming it into a shield for the innocent. Gold Experience Requiem became a symbol of hope. In Naples' underworld, the gangstar's dream thrived. A mafia where loyalty meant protection, fear turned to respect, and cruelty was rewritten into justice. Jolene Cujo, daughter of Jotaro Cujo, was born in 1992. Resentful of Jotaro's distant behavior, even during a childhood illness, she rebelled as a teenager, engaging in petty theft and joining the delinquent Hell Riders gang. Even though she briefly reformed, her life unraveled in 2011 when her boyfriend Romeo involved her in a hit-and-run accident. Panicked, Romeo framed Jolene, leading to her arrest and eventual imprisonment at Green Dolphin Street Prison, a maximum security facility in Florida. In prison, Jolene discovered a pendant sent by Jotaro, which pricked her finger and awakened her stand stone free, an ability to unravel her body into a durable, thread-like substance. Teaming up with fellow inmate Hermes Costello and Foo Fighters, Jolene navigated the brutal prison hierarchy. Early threats included Gwes, a manipulative inmate with the shrinking Stan Goo Goo dolls, and Marishkan, whose gambling-themed Stan Marilyn Manson stole organs as collateral. Jolene learned her imprisonment was part of a plot by Enrico Pucci, a priest and loyal disciple of Dio. Pucci sought to steal Jotaro's stand and memories using his own stand, Whitesnake, which manifested as disc-shaped representations of a person's soul. After ambushing Jotaro during a prison visit, Pucci left him comatose, forcing Jolene to recover the stolen discs to save her father. She also allied with Weather Report, an amnesiac inmate whose stand manipulated weather patterns and later discovered he was Pucci's estranged brother. Pucci's goal was to achieve heaven by resetting the universe, fulfilling Dio's legacy. Using the Green Baby, a supernatural entity born from Dio's bone, Pucci merged with it to evolve his stand into Seamoon, which inverted gravity and finally made in heaven, accelerating time to erase the existing universe and create a perfect one. In a battle at Cape Canaveral, Jolene and her allies fought Pucci. Though Jolene devised clever strategies to counter Made in Heaven's reality warping speed, Pucci's power overwhelmed the group. To protect Emporio, a young boy who'd aided her, Jolene sacrificed herself, ensuring his escape. Pucci's reset created a world where Jolene was reborn as Irene, free from her tragic fate. Emporio, surviving the transition, defeated Pucci using Weather Report's stand. In this timeline, Irene lived peacefully with Jotaro and her friends, symbolizing a fresh start unburdened by the Joestar family's cursed legacy. Johnny Joestar was born in 1872. To a wealthy Kentucky horse racing dynasty, he grew up in the shadow of his father George's expectations and favoritism toward his older brother, Nicholas. A child prodigy on horseback, Johnny's life changed when a childhood act of rebellion, freeing a pet mouse his father demanded he drown, unwittingly led to Nicholas's death during a riding accident. Consumed by guilt, Johnny channeled his pain into becoming a cocky, fame-driven jockey, only to have his world collapse again when a stranger shot him during a petty dispute, leaving him paralyzed and abandoned by everyone he once knew. 2 years later, Johnny encountered Gyro Zeppeli, a charismatic Neapolitan executioner competing in the Steel Ball Run, a brutal cross-country horse race across America. Gyro's mysterious steel balls, imbued with a rotational energy called the spin, briefly restored Johnny's ability to stand. Desperate to unlock this power, Johnny entered the race, taming a stubborn horse named Slow Dancer and forging a partnership with Gyro. Their bond deepened as they uncovered the race's hidden purpose. purpose, collecting the scattered parts of the saint's corpse, a holy relic rumored to grant miraculous abilities. In the Arizona desert, Johnny awakened his stand Tusk during a fight against the magnetic-wielding Boom Boom family. His fingernails gained the power to spin like bullets, evolving through 4 transformative stages. Initially firing lethal projectiles, Tusk later unleashed homing attacks, teleportation through dimensional holes, and finally, an infinite rotational force capable of piercing reality itself. This power tied directly to the saint's corpse. With each fragment Johnny recovered, restoring fragments of his mobility and resolve. Johnny and Gyro faced many adversaries, including Diego Brando, Johnny's childhood rival, who gained dinosaur-like powers from the corpse's eyes. Their clashes escalated into a deadly game of cat and mouse, culminating in a showdown where Diego, allied with President Funny Valentine, nearly claimed victory using time-stopping abilities. Elsewhere, Johnny dueled Ringo Rodigan, a gunslinger whose stand mandem rewound time by 6 seconds, forcing Johnny to outthink fate itself. Through each battle, Gyro's mentorship and unshakable optimism kept Johnny grounded, even as the corpse's corrupting influence tempted him with the promise of a normal life. The duo's quest climaxed in a confrontation with Funny Valentine, the US president seeking the corpse to secure America's dominance. Valentine's stand, D4C, manipulated parallel worlds, making him nearly invincible. In a big twist, Gyro sacrificed himself to teach Johnny the Golden Spin, a transcendent technique harnessing the infinite energy of the universe. Grief-stricken, Johnny unleashed Tusk ICT-4, a reality-warping attack that breached dimensions and mortally wounded Valentine. Though Johnny lost the race, he reclaimed his ability to walk and honored Gyro by returning his body to Naples. In the aftermath, he faced one final threat, an alternate world Diego Brando wielding the time stop Stand the World. Despite near-fatal injuries, Johnny's mastery of the spin allowed him to survive, closing his journey with a quiet resolution. He later found peace with Rina, daughter of Ale Norisuke Higashikata, carrying Gyro's steel ball as a reminder of their bond. Josuke Higashikata was born from the fusion of Josefumi Kujo and Yoshikage Kira. He emerged as an enigmatic figure in Morio, his existence tied to the miraculous yet cursed Lokakaka fruit. Josefumi, a stand user indebted to Kira's mother, Holy Joestar Kira, allies with Kira, a marine surgeon desperate to cure Holy's terminal rock disease, a hereditary curse plaguing their bloodline. Their plan to steal and graft Lokakaka branches, a fruit that heals at the cost of equivalent exchange, unravels when the Lokakaka smuggling organization, led by Tamaki Damo, ambushes them. In a tragic twist, Kira dies shielding Josefumi, who uses the fruit to fuse their bodies during an earthquake, birthing Josuke, an amnesiac hybrid with 4 testicles, a star birthmark, and the stand soft and wet, capable of stealing properties like friction or sight through soap bubbles. Found naked and buried near the walleyes by Yasuho Hirose, Josuke embarks on a quest to uncover his identity. With Yasuho's help, he traces clues to Kira's apartment, only to face Ojiro Sasami, a vengeful stalker framing Kira as a sadist. Josuke's stand awakens during this confrontation, revealing his ability to manipulate bubbles. His journey intertwines with the Higashikata family, fruit tycoons harboring their own curse. Firstborns inherit the rock disease unless cured by sacrificial equivalent exchange. Adopted by Patriarch Norisuke IV, Josuke navigates their secrets while battling family members like Daya and Joben. Josuke's past unravels as he learns of his dual identity. Josefumi's gratitude to Holy and Kira's desperation to save her drove their fusion. The new Lokakaka variant fused their bodies, leaving Josuke as a living equivalent exchange. His mission shifts to harvesting the fruit to cure Holy, now comatose, while evading the rock humans, immortal mineral-based beings protecting the Lokakaka. Allies like Rai Mamazuku, a pragmatic plant appraiser, aid Josuke, culminating in a deadly showdown with Urban Gorilla and Doremi Fasolati Do, whose stands manipulate construction debris and calamities. The final adversary, Toru, poses as Yasuho's ex-boyfriend while secretly controlling Wonder of You, a stand embodying calamity itself. Toru, head of the Lokakaka organization, weaponizes misfortune to protect the fruit. Josuke's stand evolves to soft and wet, go beyond, producing invisible, boundary-defying bubbles that bypass Toru's calamity. In a desperate battle, Josuke and Yasuho outwit Toru, leveraging Paisley Park's navigation abilities and Rai's sacrificial tactics. Toru's defeat ends the curse's grip, but the Lokakaka's scarcity leaves Holy's fate unresolved. Jodio Joestar, grandson of Joseph Joestar and Susie Q, navigates a life of chaos and moral complexity in the JoJolands. Born into a fractured family, his father abandoned them and his mother, Barbara Ann Joestar, struggles to make ends meet. Jodio's defining trait is his unflinching loyalty to his older sibling, Dragona. At 11, after moving to Honolulu, Jodio's latent Stand November Rain awakens when he violently defends Dragona from bullies, setting a school bus ablaze. Though he extinguishes the fire to save a trapped bird, the incident spirals into financial ruin for his family, pushing Jodio into a gang led by Meryl May Chi to support his mother. Diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, Jodio embraces his ruthless pragmatism, viewing crime as a means to protect his fractured family. At 15, Jodio and Dragona execute a drug smuggling operation that goes bad when corrupt cops target them. Jodio's stand, raining destructive droplets that crush opponents, and Dragona's ability to manipulate surfaces help them survive. Their reputation earns them a high-stakes mission: steal a $6 million diamond from Rohan Kishibe, a manga artist vacationing in Hawaii. The heist reveals Rohan's secret pursuit of volcanic lava rock, a supernatural mineral with gravity-defying properties that attract wealth. Jodio seizes the rock, leveraging it against Rohan, who cryptically hints at its potential to grant unimaginable riches. The lava rock becomes both a prize and a curse. It draws relentless enemies, including Charming Man, a rogue stand user seeking the rock to save his brother, and Bobby Jean, a sniper whose stand manipulates bullet trajectories. Jodio's gang, now including the tech-savvy Usagi and pacifist-turned-fighter Paco, battles feline stands with wire-based attacks and a shadowy organization tied to the rock. The rock's power to magnetize valuables leads Meryl May to orchestrate a land grab targeting Howler, a corporation controlling Hawaii's volcanic assets. Jodio's loyalty is tested as alliances shift. Charming Man joins the group after a brutal showdown, revealing the rock's ties to a broader conspiracy. A hospital confrontation with Bobby Jean and his partner Lulu, whose stand induces fatal internal growths, nearly kills Usagi and Dragona. Jodio's quick thinking and November Rain's precision save them, but the stakes escalate when Howler's CEO, Aka Howler, targets the gang. Meryl May's cryptic distress signal hints at deeper danger, forcing Jodio to balance ruthless ambition with protecting his found family.